This is not a story about disability. This is a story about unstoppable courage. Doctors said he would never stand again. Life said, stop. He said, watch me. Rahul was a cheerful and curious boy who lived in a small village in the mountains. When he was young, his world was as big as the snowy peaks visible from his home window. He often asked his father, "Papa, will I ever be able to reach the top of those mountains?" His father would smile, kiss his forehead, and say, "Of course. If you believe in yourself, nothing is impossible." But when Rahul was 10 years old, an accident changed his life forever. On his way to school, a speeding truck hit him. His spine was badly damaged, and he could never stand on his legs again. Doctors said he would be dependent on a wheelchair for the rest of his life. The boy who once dreamed of running freely on mountains was now confined to a wheelchair. But the fire inside him did not die. Rahul's mother always encouraged him. Your ability to fly doesn't depend on your legs, but on your courage and determination. Slowly, Rahul gathered himself. He lost himself in books and developed a deep interest in mountaineering stories. One day, he read about Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay's conquest of Mount Everest. He realized that mountains are conquered not just by physical strength, but by mental power. One day he announced, "I will climb a mountain." The villagers laughed. A boy in a wheelchair climbing a mountain? Even his friends thought it was impossible. But Rahul knew that his dream was difficult, not impossible. He read about people who achieved extraordinary things despite disabilities. He learned that some mountaineers had climbed mountains using special equipment while in wheelchairs. He told his parents, "I want training for mountaineering." At first, they were worried, but they gave in to Rahul's determination. They met a mountaineering expert in the city named Arjun Sir. After hearing Rahul's story, Arjun Sir was deeply impressed and said, "Looking at your passion, I believe you can do this, but it will require hard work." Rahul began his training. He strengthened his arms and shoulders, practiced pulling ropes, climbing and maintaining balance while sitting in his wheelchair. After several months, Arjun Sir said, "You are now ready to climb a small mountain." Rahul chose a nearby peak close to his village, about 3,000 meters high. It wasn't Everest, but for him, it was no less than a giant dream. His mountaineering team built a special custom-designed wheelchair with larger wheels and ropes. Friends and trainers accompanied him to help if needed. The day of the climb arrived. As Rahul began climbing, villagers watched in disbelief. Some still doubted him, but his parents' eyes were filled with pride and faith. The first challenge was the rough terrain. Rocky and narrow paths were extremely difficult for a wheelchair. Using the strength of his arms and the support of ropes, Rahul slowly moved upward. The middle section was the toughest. The slope was so steep that pulling the wheelchair upward was extremely hard. At some points, his friends had to support him. Then came the hardest part. His wheelchair got stuck. His arms were aching. His breathing was heavy. Some people said, maybe it's impossible to go further. But Rahul refused to give up. He took a deep breath and told his trainers, "Just give me a little more time. I will climb it myself." Using every ounce of strength, pulling the rope with his hands, Rahul slowly crossed the most difficult section. Tears filled his eyes, tears of pain, pride, and joy. After hours of struggle, Rahul finally reached the mountain peak. Down below, villagers clapped loudly. His family cried with happiness. Rahul looked up at the sky, smiled, and said, "I did it." This was not just Rahul's victory. It was an inspiration for everyone who has ever felt weak. He proved that true strength lies not in the body, but in the mind and soul. If you like this story, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video. Thank you.